You're listening to the Exponential Entrepreneur podcast. This is the podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs who understand that exponential business growth isn't achieved through traditional business tactics alone, but through personal development, the ultimate leverage point to scale businesses beyond conventional limits. Hosted by Erica Ferenzi, featuring lessons from the Practical, Profitable Mindset program, created by R. John Robbins, Alejandra Leibovich, Erica, and Oscar Ferenzi. And here's your host, Erica Ferenzi.
So welcome to the Exponential Entrepreneur podcast. In this episode, we are going to learn about how is that you can become more productive. I have a question for you. What if the biggest limitation in your business is truly not about time, but the way that you are using your time? In this episode, Alejandra will share with us some productivity systems and delegation strategies that help her build a multi-million-dollar business, scale teams internationally, and create explosive growth without sacrificing her personal life. But this lesson is not about complicated theories or overwhelming systems. It is about practical execution. One of the most powerful teachings that you will hear is the importance of implementing one productivity system at a time. Alejandra will explain that many entrepreneurs fail because they try to overhaul everything at once. Instead of creating momentum, they create confusion. They create inconsistency and burnout for themselves and for their team. The thing is that real productivity comes from mastering one system before moving to the next. The other thing that she will talk about is the power of video manuals for delegation. She will demonstrate how entrepreneurs can quickly and easily document tasks, processes, and explanations by using video while they work. Instead of spending hours creating the perfect written manuals, leaders can transfer knowledge in real time, helping employees learn faster and reducing repetitive questions. And finally, Alejandra will challenge the idea of perfectionism. She will emphasize that productivity is about action, not endless thinking. Waiting for systems, workflows, or training materials to become perfect often becomes an excuse for avoiding delegation, and it will definitely slow the growth of your business. This lesson is a powerful reminder that scaling a business will require the owner, the entrepreneur, to stop holding everything in their own heads and start building systems that allows others to execute effectively so they can actually delegate and you can actually have a life. So let's dive in. Let's listen to Alejandra in the art of being productive.
This week is a bit of a different type of week. It is a very practical, very practical, hands-on, do exercises every day week. A little bit different. You're not going to be so much in your head. You're actually going to be extremely productive and you're going to get a lot of shit done, which will make you a lot more profitable and will make you have a lot more energy. So this week is all about learning how to be more productive with your time. Yes, but productive for real. Coming from somebody that when I explain what I have accomplished and how I did it, you will understand what level of productivity I'm talking about. So you have to get to where you want to get with your goals. You have to be more productive with your time. Time is the only thing that you can get more of. And it's very interesting that everyone has the same amount of time. We all have 24/7, right? 168 hours a week. Some people use that time and they produce nothing with their lives. And then there are people like Richard Branson, right? Where he has the same 24/7s as the rest of us. He is not that different in age and he uses it in a very different way. So this week is going to be all about real world, practical, not theoretical time and productivity hacks coming from a person that I have built 3 separate $1 million businesses, one $30 million business with a fraction of a budget and tiny staff. I have launched 10 different TV channels for MTV around the country, got 10 million viewers, more than 10 million viewers on each of them, and have won. Pretty much my team won, like we left the awards ceremonies of International Design Awards with boxes of awards when everybody else had like one award for the entire team. We had boxes with 10 awards each. So even with all of that, I still managed to have a life. I did get to date and have fun with somebody that I had met at the time named Arjun. And I went home at 6 because I wanted to go and have fun with Arjun. So I think I know something about time and productivity hacks. And before we get started, some of you already know my story. Some of you don't know me at all. Why? Because of my productivity hacks, I managed to replace myself completely from HCM. So I have become a shareholder and I don't work on the everyday. I replaced myself about 2 years ago doing what I'm going to show you how to do. This is going to be step number 1 for replacing yourself eventually in your law firm and replacing yourself from doing any jobs that you should not be doing. Some of you know me, but you don't really know this part of the story. So the point of what I'm about to tell you is about Argentina. And that's where I got the seed of learning to be productive, not just because I was ambitious, but because it was a matter of survival. So for those who grew up in a third world country, in a dictatorship with hyperinflation, please put in the chat that I'm not exaggerating with what I'm going to tell you. Okay. It is very hard for most people that grew up in this country to understand in the environment that I grew up and how the environment made me be extremely productive so I could survive in it. So I grew up in Argentina in a dictatorship at age 15. That's when we had the first democracy president. I grew up very afraid of the military and people disappearing. It was a state of fear and hyperinflation. What does that mean? That means that when I got home from school, if my mom had forgotten to buy something in the store, she sent me to the store and it cost $1, the milk that she needed. But then if I had to go right then and there, because if I went 2 hours later, the milk would be 1.5 pesos and not 1 peso. Sometimes the prices of milk and everything that you had around you changed 2, 3, 4 times a day. Sometimes in times when it was more relaxed, it will change every other day. But there was always some level of inflation, which for us here, I think in the States, there is 6% or 8% a year. In Argentina, you have 6 or 8% per day. In my times, you could have 50% per day. So that is the environment that I grew up. And if you weren't extremely focused on how you were spending your money and how you were using your time, you wouldn't have enough money to eat, or you would lose your job or you needed to get a different job, which was something not that easy to make more money so you could pay for things. So it was a place of lack mentality, lack of resources. My parents had all kinds of issues. They weren't able to give me a lot of things that I wish they could have had. So at a very early age, I had to figure out how to be a lot more productive than everyone else around me, including my parents. And I didn't think it as being productive, like with that particular work back then. But looking back, it was definitely being productive was a big part of it. The point of this is that at a very early age, I had to figure out on my own that I was going to get no help from my parents or my family, and that whatever I was going to accomplish in life, it was up to me to get it done. When I was 13, I kind of declared my independence, being kind of in that environment, which now that I think about it, my parents must have been extremely stressed. And I thought that they were not really looking at me, but they were actually not really looking at me. I decided to cut half of my hair off at 13 to declare my independence and to be kind of like punk rock or something of the sort. I used to have very long hair, and it took 2 weeks for anybody in my household to realize that I had cut half my hair off. That is the environment that I grew up. When that happened, I definitely learned that if I was going to accomplish something in life and if I was going to grow up and live and get somewhere, which my goal was to get out of there in that environment, it was not only up to me. I have to be extremely focused with my priorities and my level of productivity to get shit done like that. The country was also on top of all of the other things that it was. At the time, it was very chauvinist. So it was a very challenging environment to get anything done being a woman. Over there, even now, today, anything that you need to get done takes time, like 10 times longer. Like if you're a business owner right now, even 30 years later, it's still the same way. Over here in the States, even 30 years ago, you could pick up the phone, you could have just making a phone call, your electricity turn on, get a food delivery. You could just go to one grocery shopping and get your clothes, your shopping store, like everything. In Argentina, even still nowadays, there are still a lot of the bills that are like to have electricity turn on in a new house or anything new. You still have to go in person to a bank or to the office of the electrical company in person and wait online because everybody has to do the same thing to ask for anything, to ask for a refund. There are no stores that have everything. You have to go to all different multiple stores. So everything takes basically 10 or more times longer than it will take here. And I had to figure out, one, how to live on my own, how to make money, how to get all of those things done by myself and still have time to get to work on time to pay my bills for everything so I could live. So it was the perfect sink or swim trial by fire place to learn to function productively. And if I was going to get out of there, I knew that I wasn't particularly talented. I didn't have the beauty standard. Like I wasn't like, the pretty girl. Like I was not that, which, I mean, they got to be picked for many more jobs than I did. I wasn't particularly charming or funny. I was not popular. And I got very quickly that the way for me to stay hired in a job or to get called back in any of the jobs that I was doing freelance for the film and animation industry, if I wanted to get called back and I wanted to stay hired, I had to be way more, but like widely more productive than anyone else available, especially all the men available, because I was a girl and there were no women behind the cameras doing what I was trying to do. And I'm going to skip over a bunch of years to keep telling you about what I have learned on productivity that I'm going to transmit to you today so you become way more productive. And I'm going to skip all the way to Miami. First, I lived in LA. I lived in Atlanta. In Atlanta, I was at Cartoon Network, and that's where I learned how to hire teams, how to work with teams overseas and in person and manage them and get them more productive. And in Miami, I learned how to scale everything. In Miami at MTV, we needed to increase the ratings. So we started to produce many more commercials and spots and work than anybody else so we could get ahead of the ratings. When I got to MTV Networks, I got put in Nickelodeon because I was coming from Cartoon Network, Cartoon Network was number 1 in ratings. Nickelodeon was number 5, and there were 5 channels. So it was at the bottom. It had been at the bottom for a very long time. And it was going to stay at the bottom unless we did something. So we started producing without changing absolutely anything on the programming, just changing all of the pieces and all of the promos, what we call the promos, like what tells you that next TV show is coming up next, or come back at 5 p.m. to watch on Monday a new episode of SpongeBob, and every single show that we had. we produce of those about 3,000 of those spots a year. At the same time of changing the branding every single year that we were there to keep up with the changes of the times and to keep being interested to have ratings. So doing that, producing that amount of work from what we have in Latin America that we were producing here in Miami to what US had in New York or in Atlanta for Cartoon Network and in New York City, the budgets that we had basically between 15 and 20% of budget to produce all of these spots that domestic had, to give you an idea. And I got to hire and manage an in-house team of designers and interns and about 15 overseas film production and animation studios overseas. When Zoom didn't exist, there weren't even smartphones. There were like the flip phones was the new thing, that there were cell phones. And there wasn't chatting, there was no Zoom, there was no Dropbox, there was no file sharing, no virtual desktops, no, absolutely nothing. And with all of that, I got to work at 10 a.m. in the morning. I left at 6, and so did my team, which was its own mindset thing around MTV that everybody resented us, that we got to do that. And like, how is it possible that you let them, like, you don't make them pay the price to do the work and blah, blah, blah. And like, no. It's more productive that they get there at 10, they leave at 6, and they have a fucking life, right? So that was my philosophy and what I used and learned that I had learned in Atlanta and that then I used at MTV and I am about to teach you. This is the same way HTM became so quickly this $30 million business, and we were able to scale, especially at the beginning, growing more than 100% per year. We got to grow, to hire, to keep staff, and to be productive. Growing the business for me when I was running operations, it was growing between 25 to 33% a quarter. So basically at the end of the year, I had a whole new company at the same time, like of systems that I had to handle clients, which we always had more than we had originally planned, at the same time as the technology changing and having new tools and new ways to do things that were more productive and that made our lives much easier. Since then, we are in 5,000 fastest growing companies every single year since 2015. In all my years at MTV, we produce more and more spots. All of the other international MTVs started to take classes from us and using our system to build systems and to work from the amount of work that we could get done. We did brandings that made us stay first in ratings for every single year. We did complete rebrandings in 3 months from every single channel. And MTV did it every 6 months. VH1 and Nickelodeon, we did it every single freaking year. It took almost 10 years for Cartoon Network to understand what the heck was happening. And now they started doing it too. We were complete experts in high level focused productivity at the same time of having a life. For Nickelodeon that year and every year since then, we got to tie first with Cartoon Network and several years to stay first before Cartoon Network. And it was because how fast we could get the work done and change and keep the audience interested in what we were producing. Imagine for your law firm, let's say that you do 200 cases a year. Imagine if you go from 200 cases a year to doing 200 cases a month. So then you hire other law firms, smaller law firms that you are, to get to do part of that work and you manage. Like if they were freelancers, but they are their own law firm, which is what I did. And you get to manage the production of those cases from one office, getting to the office at 10, and then leaving at 6 and having your team. this is the level of productivity of what the productivity hacks that I'm going to teach you. This is not imaginary. This is reality. This is what I use to accomplish all of this much at the same time of growing and starting the other businesses and writing a book, being a wife, having a kid. The point of this is that you are going to learn hyper productive. And the number one first productivity hack that I'm going to give you right now, do not try to implement a bunch of productivity hacks all at once. Do not make that mistake. If you're reading a book, if you read online, if you're taking a course and they are telling you these are the 10 things to do and you have to do them all together. And like you have to work this way. This is the workflow, is bullshit. You're going to find yourself in a few months that if you start implementing that and you make your team start implementing that without giving yourself the time to actually make it work one at a time, you are going to find that your team things are going to start falling through the cracks, and you're going to find them 3, 4, 5 months from now not doing those things that you two agreed on, and you're going to find yourself procrastinating and not wanting to do it too. So productivity hack number 1, do not try to implement a bunch of productivity hacks at once. The way to get more productive and scale your law firm is to get you to be more productive and delegate and give things to your team. And from all of the productivity things that I have, which are many, I don't need 10, I don't need 20, I don't need 50. I really always need 3 or 4. That's my default. That's what I use. And that's what moves the needle. The number 1 that we are going to use today, this week, is going to be video manualing. For the ones that know what a video manual is, for the ones that actually do it, raise your hand, put it in the chat. If you do it, how much you love it and how useful it is. I'm going to put everybody at ease. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you how to do it. It is really simple. It didn't used to be that simple, and it used to be a pain in the neck to export the videos and then move them to Dropbox and then get everybody, I didn't have to get anybody used to doing the videos, or watching the videos. They actually found them themselves. The way that we grew so much in HTM when we were growing between 25 to 33% a quarter was that I did all of these video manuals, which I had been used to creating with VHS cameras, okay? And then the little flip cameras, I would just shoot my screen until the software came about where I could record a video on my screen and have me talking. And at the beginning, there weren't even cameras. You couldn't even use your camera and be yourself in a bubble. This is how it used to be. But give me one thing, give me 5 things that drive you freaking crazy of your assistant that your assistant does. While you are thinking about it and you're writing, there are law firms that are at 1 million, at 5 million, at 10 million, at 15 million. Even at 50 million, even at 30 million, there are things that drive me fucking crazy that people do. So then what I do, I shoot a video, I explain what is happening, I explain why it's happening, and then I share the link and I give them the link to see. This is not a matter of size. If you have no staff, it doesn't matter. I did the videos without having any staff, without having virtual assistants. I started doing them because my goal was to delegate all of that and to have other people do it and do it right every time and do it the same way. You're going to pick one video and you're going to do one video today. If you can, do more than one. But the video is going to be you showing, for example, the member that wants the assistant to name the documents properly. I want you to shoot a video showing them on your screen, and you will have a little bubble that automatically happens showing you. I want you to show your assistant how they should name the documents, where they should put them, how they should name the folders. teach them the naming convention and the folder naming convention, the folder structure that you want them to use. And then after test it that they do it. And then you're going to have them transcribe. If it works, you're going to have them transcribe your video, take little screenshots of the video and put that added to their manual, okay, of how they need to work. Saving like naming conventions and naming properly files and putting them in the right folders. That is something that is going to be used in your whole company-wide. So you're going to have it in policies and procedures that are for the whole company. You can copy over and like duplicate them into each job, but every single person should be naming the files correctly, the folders correctly, and putting them into the specific structure. So grab one thing that drives you fucking crazy. Like, for example, for me, it used to be that add things to my calendar and then she will put the address in the location, but she didn't check on her cell phone that it actually worked. So the same with the cell phones. She will add things in the calendar and then she will add the cell phones in the notes or different links in different places. But then in the computer, they worked. But then when I'm on the road and I'm moving, I'm in an airport, I'm traveling, or I'm in the car and I need to click and just get there or click and call, those links wouldn't work. So then I shot a video with my frustration. I explained how frustrated I was and why. I show her in the camera. I'm going to show you that you can choose to record yourself. And like I just show my cell phone like on the camera like this. And I show them and I clicked on it and I showed her what it showed, or I showed her that it didn't click and that I needed it to click. So then she corrected it. So the video number one is going to be to get rid of these annoyances that you have that are eating up your energy. That every single time it makes you really angry and you wish like you wonder if you should fire them or not, that they have many other like qualities and you don't want to fire them. But then when you're there, you forget about it. You don't remember all of the things that you want to tell them. So in the moment that you are having the frustration, I want you to shoot this video. If you have a list of things, then shoot several of the videos. The whole point is to start with a video. If you are not the kind which in most fast-growing environments, nobody has really the mindset and the headspace, even if you have the time to sit down and create these manuals or create or tell the other person in a nice way, this is how to do it. So shooting the video while you're working, shooting the video while you're having the frustration, that is what makes it valuable. And it's done. Then you share the link with the person. It's then in your folders. It can get transcribed. The screenshots can get put into the actual paper manual. Okay? The most important thing for productivity is the workflow, how you are working. And that's what you need to teach your employees so you can replace yourself. So they can come and say, oh, I watch your videos. I know how you want things. And then they just do it, which is what happened to me and what keeps happening to me, by the way. The main thing in here is that it doesn't matter what tool you use. What matters is what are you doing with it. You have to record the thing that frustrates you the most, that your assistant does, your paralegal does, that somebody that works with you does, and you show them how to do it right. And you record it real quick. It's going to take you 1 minute, 2 minutes. You tell them everything that you want to tell them about it. You show them everything that you want to show them about it in your screen. And then you click save, share, and you send it to them. And that's the end of it. So any questions?
This is a fun topic, and Arjan already gave me some really good advice, which I appreciate. Something's popping up for me mindset-wise, and I'm thinking, as I do this, I know this thing is going to change. So as I'm going through like, oh, this is how I want you to do my air travel, or this is how I want you to do this, or how this is how I want you to do that. At the same time, I'm thinking it could be so much better if you did this and this and this. So with the company that's we're changing so fast and everything. One of my sort of stopping strategies is just overwhelming myself with all this kind of stuff. So I realize this is at least partially a mindset thing. Do you just sort of put a pin in it? And is there some sort of system that you update, or you just don't worry about it? Or how do you handle that when you just know in the back of your mind, like, oh, this is not a perfect system. This is absolutely going to change?
Absolutely nothing is perfect. Like if you think that perfection exists, you're going to be a very frustrated, unhappy person and not productive enough, paralyzed by perfection, basically. So first of all, what is perfection, right? What is perfection? What is perfection for these manuals? How would it help? Would somebody do it better if the video is exactly perfect, or they will just do it if it's good enough, but it's done? The key in this that you have to think is, do I want to do this fucking thing, or do I want this other person to take care of it the way that I want it? So if you want to keep doing it yourself and like stay where you are and keep doing the same things, don't shoot the video. If you want the other person to do it, then tell them the fucking instructions and get them to do it. If you then figure out a better way to do it, then shoot another video, put the one that you had before, delete it, or put it in another folder of deprecated things, and then put the new video. And this is the new way to do it. The key is to download your head and to stop being frustrated, to stop using the energy. Look at all this amount of time that is taking us, that we could be talking about something super profitable, like a quantum leap for your firm, but we're thinking if it should be perfect or not. You have too much free time to think. You have way too much free time. You got to do more doing and less thinking. Just do it, delegate it, done. Next. Every time that you find yourself like, oh, should this be perfect? You are thinking too much. You have too much free time.
Okay. Well, that's a different angle that I hadn't heard before. So thanks for saying that. I didn't realize I was trying to be perfect about it. I just see this chain of changing and changing. And when I put this down and it's not perfect and I know it's not perfect. And then I think of, well, here's a change that I could make, but it's already delegated. So just let that go and just let it be what it is. And if it changes, it changes. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's all right.
Yes. One, you haven't actually even tested if the way that you thought it was imperfect works. And this whole thing is so that you delegate or you give instructions on how things should be, and then you test. Oh, this didn't work. Okay, then they are making this other mistake. Okay, you are going to have to record a new one. This is why paper manuals take so long, because there are many variables. But when you're in video, you should shoot a new one. Mm-hmm. And then you test. Oh, now they are doing it right, but in this particular thing, they didn't. So then actually, you don't even need to shoot an entire new video. You can shoot a specific one and add it to the old one and re-export it, in any of these tools. But it would be easier to just shoot a whole new video. Why? Because you have now more criteria. You have experience. You can tell in the new video, we tried it this way before, but it didn't work. So we were having these mistakes. So now we have added this other step, and then we change over here so that doesn't happen. And you can actually inform somebody of that, which normally in a paper manual, you don't put those kinds of things. But in the video, you can, because it's like a conversation.
Yeah, I know I have a head full of bullshit right now because it's almost like I just don't want to let it go. And I guess this is like a recurring thing. And maybe this is the whole purpose of what we've been talking about for weeks. It's just like delegate and let it go, delegate and let it go. And I'm like, oh yeah, I couldn't possibly do that. It's not going to be perfect. And then I use that as a way to stop. So I appreciate this as a conversation. And actually what I have learned is in doing some of these other videos, I've done a few videos. And what I've learned is that once I get it out and then just let it go and forget about it, it doesn't even really matter whether the video is good or not. The thing is done and the person's going to fill in the blanks with anything. Arjan said it in the chat, they're people, not robots. So I think there's something else going on with me. I'm going to have to think about it a little bit more. But I think
you don't have to think about anything. That's the key.
Well, what I mean is like, I'm thinking about it too much now. So I have to figure out how not to think about it. It's like a koan.
You know how you don't think about it? You do. The enemy of productivity is thinking. The enemy of productivity is this illusion of perfection. It's an illusion. You're thinking that you'll get to some place that is an illusion. It doesn't fucking matter. When you get to your deathbed, you're going to say, oh, wow, all of those hours that I spent thinking if I should do the video or I shouldn't do the video, because what if it's not perfect? That I could have been doing something that makes me wildly happy and perhaps helping people. But no, I spent it thinking. The key for you, the fix, is to do. If you're thinking, that's not good. You gotta do. If you want to be productive, you have to do, not think. You should put yourself like in a sticker, like on your computer screen. Am I doing? Am I doing? Your question is to be, am I doing? The answer should be yes. You gotta be doing. The thing is that you don't even know what you don't know because you haven't done enough. You need to watch a movie called Fast, Cheap, and Out of Control by Errol Morris. You have to make the most amount of mistakes the fastest possible. That's how you grow the law firm. And to make mistakes, the only way that you make mistakes is by doing. The only way to grow is by making mistakes. The only way to learn something, you learn by the errors. You have to make errors. You have to have errors to learn anything. And the fastest that you get rid of the errors, the better. Like you should be, when you approach this video making, you should be, okay, let's see how much I'm going to suck doing this. And go for it. And you expect that you're going to suck because you are going to suck. I can assure you that at the end of the week, you're going to be like way much more relaxed about them. Now go and fucking do something.
So welcome back. Today's lesson focused on one of the most important skills that every entrepreneur must develop. And that is the ability to create systems to free up their time, their energy, and their mental space. One big takeaway from this episode is that productivity is not about doing more things at once. It is about creating repeatable systems that allow work to move efficiently through your business. Trying to implement too many changes at once often creates frustration, inconsistency instead of growth, and will definitely frustrate and slow down your team. Another key takeaway is the importance of delegating through video manuals. Ale showed us how is that leaders can quickly train their team members by recording real-time videos and processes while they work. These simple recordings become living systems that help businesses scale faster while reducing communication breakdowns. And finally, in this episode, she highlighted the danger of perfectionism. Waiting for the perfect process, the perfect system, the perfect moment, the perfect training material, that will keep you stuck. Momentum comes always from taking action. It will improve over time and allowing systems to evolve as your business grows. The overall message was very, very clear. Productivity is not about working harder or faster. It's about creating leverage. And that is exactly what the Exponential Entrepreneur is for. And now will be your turn to take action. Here is to your exponential growth. Stay healthy, stay hungry, and stay focused. And we will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. We encourage you to take action on it today. Share what you've learned with another entrepreneur. Sign up for our newsletter to get bonus content you won't get anywhere else at exponentialentrepreneur.com and subscribe to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast to receive the next episode. Until next time, keep breaking through limiting beliefs and growing exponentially.